Nixon looking up. Daly wins it. Daly wins it. Daly wins it.
With Walker and Peake.
Woodson from the gun. Play fake. Step it up. He's throwing deep down the near sideline. He's got Johnson. 20. Down. 5. Touchdown. Kentucky.
When Mitch called me and talked to me about being the head coach here at Kentucky, I understand the assignment. We are here to win banners.
Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
Welcome into Kentucky Roll Call for Tuesday, June 16th, 2026. We are live in Louisville, Kentucky. More specifically, Trevor Kelsey, we are live at my childhood home, at my parents' house. I don't know if we
so we're in a new studio. What is in the background? Is like a red and a flashing light, a traffic light?
Yeah, if it's a little too distracting, we can turn that off. Would that be better?
Only for me. I have ADHD.
That's all you're going to look at. Okay, I got
a TV in the background. I got baseballs. Yeah, I'm not even going to pay a lick of attention to you the entire time. I'm just going to look at everything in the background.
So my dad actually he's collecting baseballs from all the minor leagues and major leagues, but like Pacific Coast League, South Atlantic League baseballs in there. We have a bunch of
awesome, by the way.
Yeah, we got a bunch of VHS tapes here. These are a bunch of games from the 90s. I threw on Kentucky's 1993 NCAA tournament run. I was watching that while listening to the Barstool guys host KSR, so that's been cool. We have a special guest already set up here to join us. It's Nick Roush.
Hey, it's me. It's Nick Roush. It's Trevor Kelsey. What's up?
Oh, me apparently this time of the morning. How are you today? Will you be meeting me later tonight for a little Game of Thrones trivia?
The wife has volleyball league tonight, so I will not be partaking in any Game of Thrones trivia. It's good to actually hear you, though. You're able to chit-chat. I did not realize until I got on the internet this morning that House of Dragon is actually coming back Sunday. People forget that.
So do I, since I never watched any of them. I hope that's not part of tonight's trivia. Steven, I had to put him on the spot because he ignored me on text last night. So I was like, I'm gonna put him live on the air. And what do they call it? Was it doxing? Is that what the kids do? Did I dox them? I don't know. I hope I did because I've never been able to dox somebody.
Swat him. I think that's what.
I swatted him?
Are they still doing that?
I have no idea. That's why we keep an intern here to tell me that the cool new hip things. I had him open the window for me though. It was getting a little hot and stuffy in here.
Oh, that's nice. Nick Roush, there's been some big news this week concerning Kentucky athletics. I wanted to get you on. So I mean, you've already had some takes. We had the rapid reaction, but I wanted you on here to fire off some takes as well because you did this show for 8 years with Mitch Barnhart being the athletic director. Your entire time covering Kentucky athletics, which is 20, 30 years. I don't know how long. I feel like you've been doing it my entire life. It's always been Mitch Barnhart, now a new guy to deal with. What are your early thoughts on Jay Batt?
When Mitch got fired, by the way, he had this head of hair.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll take a look.
That was back when, I remember opening the Courier Journal and seeing it in the newspaper back in 02, 03, when Mitch got hired. It was a very, very long time ago. And I think more importantly, a take that was said on this show back when everything sucked at the end was that just we need a refresher from the big three. Cal, Stoops, Barnhart, they had all been around for too long. And the same applies for Eli Capilouto too. He's been around too long. And I think that will eventually happen in the very near future where you'll see all four big head honchos on campus will ultimately switch. It took 2.5 years for the last three to kind of get out and get on the way. 2 left willingly. 1 got paid a lot of money to go away in Mark Stoops. But just on the outset, this is almost like an assistant coach hire, Peake, where I can't have very strong admin takes, but he does seem to check one of the biggest boxes, which is that, all right, this guy can raise a lot of money. That is sort of the name of the game in this day and age. And, that That's what we got to do. We need somebody. We said that we wanted to get somebody here with new ideas. We wanted fresh ideas and somebody who can help Kentucky succeed in this new era of college athletics. Well, that's Jay Batt in a nutshell. That he does all of that. I think if you were to have any criticisms of him besides like, why is your name just Jay? There's not even a period afterwards. Like, come on.
I was adding a period yesterday, and then Tyler was like, "You got to take that period out." I'm like, "Is that right? It's just Jay." But I noticed
who just has Jay. Like you have
exactly right.
Nobody.
Well, in his I forget, was it North Carolina where you had his name was Jay in the program, right, or on the website, whichever one it was.
So he eventually got him to take out the AY. He wanted just Jay, which. Good on him. You know, he's all for simplicity. I remember when AJ Reed won all those. Oh, he won like the Golden Spikes for Kentucky back in I don't know what that was, like 2012 or something like that. Matt May talked about how they wasted so much space because he wanted to be just AJ. He said his name didn't have any periods in it, but they were putting periods in it. That looks fine to me when it's 2 letters. One, a little weird, but. Whatever. No, but the actual criticisms, not just the silly J or no J or
you
J.
have criticisms already?
No, if you were going to have skepticism about the hire, one would be, all right, man, you 3 AD jobs in 4 years. What's going on here? The last one, it's pretty clear. He was looking for an out at Michigan State. And the more I dug into it, I mean, the president announced 2 weeks ago that he was leaving. He called it an uncontainable situation, I think. Like all of these people were talking about how terrible their board of trustees is. The chair of the board of trustees says that 3 people were sabotaging this university and weaponizing it for their own self-interest. And then they even went so far as to offer to double the president's salary from $1.2 million to $2 million. It's basically double it. And then
close enough.
Yeah. And then change the board of trustees code of conduct to get this guy to stay. And he still was like, no, I got to get the hell out of here. So for Jay Batt to say, all right, I want to get out of here as well. I cannot hold that against him. Right, he wanted to get into a Big 2 conference. He moves up, and it's immediately turns into a fire sale. He gets out. The other thing you can say is like, I just don't know if he knows how to hire good coaches. Which, in previous, before revenue sharing and NIL, that was an athletic director's most important part of the job. Now he's AD and CEO of Champions Blue. So. We know he can do the CEO part, the chief revenue officer part well. What about hiring coaches? His best hire was an interim that he promoted, where he kind of walked into that at Georgia Tech. Brink Key's doing pretty well at the end of the year, score some upsets. They beat Pitt on the road when Pitt was had Kenny Pickett, 2 gloves Kenny. Man, what a memorable time in Pittsburgh that was. Good riddance, Kenny Pickett. But
Kenny.
Yeah, gosh. But that was a good hire, even though his hands were seemingly a little bit tied in it. David Stoudemire was not a good hire, but I get why you take a big swing. It's Georgia Tech basketball after all. Like, you might as well. And then he hires Fitz from Northwestern, who awesome at Northwestern. But can he succeed in the NIL area? I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's going to be a good hire or not. So that's the part, right? I think your most legitimate question is, can he hire the right guys? And at least in here and now, he's finally not walking into a situation where he almost has to make a hire immediately, right? There's a little bit of stability, even though they just had a change with football, like Will Stein. He's obviously going to get some rope. Mark Pope bought himself a little bit more time with Milan Momcilovic and, some of these recruiting wins as of late. But it's not he has a little bit of stability to work with as Jay Batt hits the ground running in Lexington.
What did you think about? He said that he believes that basketball and football can both be great here. I think when Matt asked him that question, he of course noted that really there aren't a lot of schools that have been able to do that outside of like Florida in 2006, 7. Do you believe him? Do you believe Kentucky can be great at both?
Yeah, I think it's harder because just the SEC is more difficult now. But I think it's the part that annoys me because initially Luckett pulled a quote from when he was at Michigan State, which Michigan State famously also pretty good at basketball, thanks to Tom Izzo. But, I mean, they were in a college football playoff. People forget that because it was kind of a one-off year there with D'Antonio. But the point that annoys me is when all these, especially it's big in burner account, all those like random BBN accounts love to get all hot and bothered by it. He's not saying that you have to spend money in football you have to take money away from basketball to spend it in football. What he's saying is that you don't get money to spend on basketball if your football team doesn't make money because football is the only thing that makes money. Like Kentucky, I'm curious what the numbers are, but Greg Byrne, his old boss at Alabama, the Alabama AD, I mean, they got Nate Oates winning games and going to Final Fours at Alabama. And he essentially said that, we don't know if any schools in this conference are making money on basketball anymore. It used to be that all of them made money on basketball. Even if they didn't show up, that was a revenue-generating sport. That's not really the case anymore. So, and I think that's the point that Bad is trying to make is that you have to invest in football because that is your only guaranteed moneymaker. And if you want to spend money on basketball, then you need football to make money for you. That's how this works. That's the economy. You need football
to be good enough that it's making money. Is that what you're saying? They don't need do they need to be competing for SEC championships necessarily for that to happen?
I think you need to compete for a playoff, which it's going to be easier to get into the playoffs.
That is true.
For an SEC championship. So you need to be middle tier. Just because, and when I say that, think about how many games we went to last year, Peake. I mean, even the Texas game. Was Kroger Field full?
It was close. It was close.
Am
I remembering that correctly?
So that one was the best crowd. But do you remember our conversations going into the game? Hey, why aren't they trying to sell this out?
Yes, I do remember a lot of those conversations.
Lowered the beer prices was to get more ticket sales.
Well, I mean, the Florida,
a little, right? I mean,
you played Florida at night, and you had a bunch of empty seats. The Ole Miss game.
That was the point where the season was basically over. I mean,
the people that were there had fun, though. My point being is you have to be good enough to where you are selling out that stadium 4 times a year, at least. Maybe 5 or 6 or 7. Nothing makes you more money than filling up that stadium. That end all be all, right? Whether it's for a concert or a football game, you need as many butts and seats at that football stadium because you don't own Rupp, right?
Yeah.
You pay a lease for it. That is their most valuable asset.
Nick, is there 4 games on this schedule coming up that you think are sellout level?
Alabama, okay. LSU. What's the other Saturday night October game?
Now,
do you think the first game doesn't sell out?
No, because it'll be hot and it's a noon kick.
Yeah, but it's Will Stein's first game. I mean, they put 50,000 people in for that first Mark Stoops scrimmage.
Yeah, it don't matter.
They could sell out the first game. They should sell out the first game.
Who's the first game?
Youngstown State.
Yeah, you're not selling that out.
Yeah, you're just
have a decent crowd, but you might not sell. I don't think.
Yeah, no, they'll get 55,000 there, and then a bunch will leave at halftime. So it'll be fine. So Vandy will be the other late kick, which that just a lot of it depends on how well you've played at this point. Have you lost 3 SEC games in a row, or did you pull off an upset at South Carolina against LSU or Oklahoma? Florida has potential as a sellout, and I would say Louisville, but Trevor, Louisville fans, they don't travel. They're afraid of Lexington.
Well, have you ever been there? I've almost been beaten up like 3 times in that place.
Well, it doesn't take much to beat you up. I mean, come on.
No, it doesn't hurt when you start calling it our summer house. We just rented to you in the fall too. Honestly, I deserved every bottle of water that was pegged in my head. So,
that game has not drawn the best crowds in recent since they moved it to the end of the year. Because whether it's weather related or one team ends up stinking and they don't show up.
Even when the hot, stinky weather of the first game, you had still decent crowds out
Yeah,
there.
you would have great crowds there. But 2 games will sell out: LSU and Alabama, and then Florida, Louisville, Vandy. They could get 2 out of the 3 if you win some other games. But my point being is that you cannot cut off your nose to spite your face. And there are some people that think that if you just sink all of your money into basketball, you're going to be good. Okay. The Dodgers are one of the rare examples of teams that if you just spend more than anybody, then you will win. I mean, the Yankees and
the Blue Jays. So.
Oh, okay. I mean, the Yankees did it to a degree in the 90s, but also baseball is different in that there is no salary cap and the discrepancy can be like tenfold. Like if you spent look what Kentucky basketball did last year. We were talking about this $22 million roster, and look what it got us. So, I don't want to hear any of those arguments. And the other part of it too, when it comes to spending money, I think a lot of people, like Mark Stoops, did a great disservice in how he handled all of this to Kentucky football fans. He bitched and complained about NIL and fundraising and money. And so it scared everybody to thinking that Kentucky had no money. In reality, they had money.
So Mitch was right the whole time.
But you know who was handling their money? It was a running backs coach. Like, he just hired Eddie. And, I think Eddie Grand is a great ally for the Kentucky football program. From my understanding, is he still is in Lexington and pretty supportive. And if they ever have questions, he's cool with the new guys. But, he's a football coach, and he was having to play GM. He's not a general manager. That's just not – you could have just hired a general manager to do it. Instead, what they would do anytime they got into a negotiation and an agent would come by and ask for more money, they would just give it to him. So, of course they thought they had no they needed more money because they didn't know how to play the game at all. And it sent out a message to the Kentucky fans that they have no money. And then around the SEC, leaking the $22 million basketball roster.
Why? I still say, why do they do that?
All it did was tell all the other schools, see, they're spending all their money on basketball, right? That's all they care about. They don't have any money for football. But in reality, Kentucky paid Tennessee's left tackle to come be their left tackle. They paid a former Notre Dame quarterback to not go to Nebraska. You know who cares about football a lot and has a lot of money? Nebraska, okay? So, it's clear that Kentucky has money if it's efficiently spent, and that's why I don't think it has to be an either or. I think both programs can financially be funded properly. The bigger question is just all right, how far does that trickle down? One of my friends, he works at U of L with the smaller sports, and they all know which ones where the kind of cutoff is. Have you seen what happened in UK softball recently? Things aren't going very well.
1-23 in the SEC. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen everywhere, right? That's not just going to be a Kentucky problem.
Correct. I think that will be more of the case. And then when you're talking directly about women's basketball, baseball, men's basketball, football, which feels like that's kind of their 4 big ones, and volleyball. That's the 5 that are getting rev share money right now. It all comes down to just how efficiently are you spending that money, right? I don't care how much money you spend. You have to – it comes down to players making plays and coaches putting players in a position to succeed, recruiting the right players. And, we had the Jake Narod kid on.
Yes, liked him.
The thing he said, he was what do I do best? A lot of guys, I got a big arm, I'm accurate. He's no, everybody has a good arm, but I'm a really good leader. I put players in a position to succeed. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page. See, that's the difference between a winner and a loser. Like, that's the kind of little things that still matter in college athletics, and that no matter how jaded I may get by all of the Brendan Sorsby stories of the world and all this other bull crap that's happening, like, some of that little stuff, it still matters. Like, you still have to be a freaking killer, a dog, and you got to make plays in crunch time when it matters. And I hope that Will Stein has the right guys to do it. I really like Kenny Minchie. You know, I think Milan Momcilovic can get some buckets. Hopefully Zoom can Zoom. I'm excited to listen to some more Kentucky roll call because I'm sure you're going to overreact to Jack's practice report, Peake. I cannot.
Oh yeah, that's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for.
Nobody's better at overreacting to small stuff than Stephen Peake.
That is me,
Roush.
But hey, before we let you go, Roush, I ask you this all the time. I ask you and Adam this when we're on our road trips. You guys have said that there's a checklist of easy wins for the new athletic director when they take over. What are some easy wins for the athletic director, and how soon will we see them?
I think the easiest win. So they already did the concessions thing. That even got a bigger pop than I expected from a lot of fans. It's mostly going to be game day related. Having a host in the stadium. Doing all the stuff that you bitch about, Peake.
Yes.
That's like such an easy toss up. Is like,
should I send him the South Carolina video we got last year?
Even if they just did the speaker system, which that in and of itself, I can't comprehend why they can't fix that, but apparently they've struggled to fix it. So I don't know. But the game day stuff, you heard Stein talk about it with the Pardon My Take guys, like. That stuff he cares about. There's a lot of little things that are easy wins, whether it's uniforms, whether it's game day stuff that I think this new guy will hit the ground running with and make it pretty simple. Do that and then go get somebody besides the Crafts to write checks for you. We can't only rely on ham money to get us players.
Nick Roush at Roush KSR on Twitter. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to talk with KSR's Adam Stratton. We're going to talk a little bit more about Kentucky basketball. When we come back here on Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. All right.
Since 1914, Creamer Smoke Shop has been your one-stop smoke shop, family-owned and proudly serving Louisville. We offer the largest selection of cigars in the area, plus classic wooden pipes and premium loose and tinned pipe tobacco. Conveniently located right off 64 and 71 at 1839 Brownsboro Road, or call 502-584-3332 to check what's in stock. Creamer Smoke Shop, your one-stop smoke shop since 1914.
Hello, I'm Todd Metter, president and founder of TCAM Financial Services. I've been blessed to serve clients in the financial services industry since 1993, and I've learned it's never too little, never too late to take control of your finances and enjoy the fruits of your labor. Listen to my live call-in show on Wednesdays from 6 to 7 p.m. on WGTK 970. A Nickel and a Plan Finance show is real talk about all things money, done with a musical twist. Tune in and even join in as we talk markets, investment strategies, financial planning, risk management, how the financial services industry really works, and more. Listen to replays of a Nickel and a Plan Finance show on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. on Big X Sports 96.1 FM and 1450 a.m. For more information about the services TCAM offers,
last I checked on here, Kentucky was up 63 to 28
or 450
over Wake Forest.
450-7526. TCAM Financial Services, comprehensive in approach, client first, in nature.
Options. When it comes to insurance,
83
exactly
to 50 with 8 minutes to play.
I'm Chad Hennessy with InsureMax, and I've been proudly serving the Louisville area for over 25 years. As an independent agent, we work with auto owners insurance to find coverage that fits you, not the other way around. InsureMax delivers strength, service, and peace of mind through partners like Auto Owners Insurance. More choices, more options. Call me, Chad Hennessy, at 502-479-4085.
Make Louisville's longest-running pro sports team part of your summer. Come check out Louisville Bats Baseball at Louisville Slugger Field. Family-friendly entertainment at budget-friendly prices inside the best minor league ballpark in America. See the Cincinnati Reds of tomorrow up close and personal today. And the Bats promotional schedule has something for everyone. For a full look at the 2026 schedule and to plan your day at the ballpark.
All right. I'll wait for Trevor to give us the signal that we're back on. And Adam, I got a lot of these old games here I've been going through while I'm staying at my parents' house.
That's awesome.
And got the Kentucky Wake Forest 93 game on the TV here.
It's a pretty incredible background.
Oh, it's I'm thinking about in the next commercial break, I'm going to take my phone and just kind of show people around the house. That's the cool thing. If you're on the YouTube channel right now, you get to see some behind the scenes. Here's some behind the scenes.
Yeah, I'm also at my parents' house, and it's just not quite as.
Plus, it's a full-service
memorabilia field.
Everything you need to look and feel your best. Take the first step toward the new you and feel more confident. Call 502.
So, Adam, where are you at today? Like what state?
I'm in Lexington, actually.
Hair by Shannon on Facebook to schedule your free consultation.
Visited my parents this week.
Get the hair you've always wanted at Hair by Shannon.
That's awesome.
Where confidence begins.
Met up with Zach on Sunday.
4487.
Meredith, so good to see him.
Oh, yeah. Trevor, are we back?
You are back.
All right. Welcome back to Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. It's KSR Takeover Tuesday. Sorry, what was that, Trevor?
Let me get rid of John Popper.
Okay.
A little Blues Traveler going.
We got Adam Stratton also joining us here in this second segment. Adam Stratton covers Kentucky. Is it just basketball that you cover, Adam?
A little basketball, a little football, a little pro sports, just a little bit of a bit of the safety on the team.
Yeah, you'll do a little bit of a cats in the NBA action, some baseball. But I've been interested in your Kentucky basketball coverage, especially your most recent article, and that's why I asked you to come on. The title of your article is Kentucky basketball could put up some points this season. And I think if you talk to a lot of people who have looked at this roster, they'll say they better because defense might be an issue. But what gives you the confidence that they can go out there and outscore some teams?
Yeah, I know it's not an easy comparison. It's not a fair comparison to just say, oh, well, just take whatever their points per game last season was at their last stop and then just copy and paste that and just put it into this year's roster. Having said that, it's not the worst indicator in the world of their capability of scoring, right? And you've got, 4 people who averaged over 15 points per game. The fourth of that being Justin McBride, who may or may not start, but if you slide him in as that 4 spot, now you've got a starting lineup where if you have your best scorers, at least from the points per game average last year, and your 5th is Malachi Marino, potential future lottery pick, now you're about 73 points per game just from your starting lineup, and that's not too bad. Not too bad at all, considering that doesn't even take into account the wealth of talent on the bench.
Mikal McLean had some interesting quotes that Jack Pilgrim posted on Kentucky Sports Radio as well. And he said, talking about PG1, Zoom Diallo, he said, I think Zoom's been my favorite so far. Zoom's come in with so much energy. He's a quarterback. Everyone, when we recruited him, just talked about how much he leads and how he loves his guys. We had a couple of guys that were kind of struggling in their sprints. They're trying to throw up and all that stuff. Zoom pulled them to the side and said, hey, man, get back up here. We've got to run. Man, that line right there, Adam, Like, I'm looking at Rick Pitino's Kentucky team right here in 1993 on the screen. They're up 91-54 on Wake Forest. That was a team that could run. That was Rick Pitino's practices had guys throwing up. Doesn't that, it kind of reminds you of that a little bit, right?
Yeah, I hope so. And I mean, if Pope wants to keep his minute caps around, the low 20s for a lot of people, he's got, 10 or 12 guys to bust, to run out there. So, I mean, the way they're going to get on the court potentially is to run, provide that nonstop energy all the time. And if you got, PG1 on your team, encouraging that, all down the roster, then hey, that's nothing but encouraging, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, Adam, in your opinion, I felt like things flipped so suddenly with this fan base because I thought that for the rest of the summer I was going to have to do, oh no, the sky is falling, and who knows if this team can even, win 10 games in the SEC again this season. Now expectations have changed, and they, like I said, changed so fast. For you personally, did those expectations flip as fast as they did for me and some other Kentucky fans?
They edged upward a little bit. I mean, I know
okay, fair enough.
I probably wasn't as low and doomsday as a lot of the fan base was. Whenever
that makes me feel better. I thought you were going to say that they were low and they barely moved up, but you're saying they weren't really that low to begin with.
They weren't high to begin with, but they weren't in the pits. I think where a lot of fans had them. Obviously, Milan's going to be a huge help. He adds more just from the style of play, being able to knock down shots on the outside. He does open it up for everybody. So I think he adds a lot more than arguably, Tyron Stokes' style of play does for the team. So that's awesome. But I mean, the fans were really down on this team's roster when they just assumed that Malachi was coming back. Right. And so when Malachi sort of had that, oh, wait a second, maybe the NBA does look pretty enticing. And then all of a sudden he comes back. It feels like an addition, but really fans were pretty low when they just assumed he was coming back anyway. So yeah, it's awesome. I'm stoked. I'm absolutely, no pun intended there, but stoked to get Malachi Marino back. I kind of assumed he was coming back, the whole way. Obviously Milan's a huge get. And then, but I mean, after that, it's a lot of the same guys who fans were just kind of, meh about, or not necessarily meh, but they weren't necessarily, chomping at the bit to watch them play. I think we're going to continue to get there. I'm going to continue to get there. But I've not turned from, oh gosh, we're going to lose every game to, oh my gosh, we're going to the Final Four. Like, seems like a lot of fans have flipped to that extreme.
So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot then. I've given my things that need to happen for Kentucky to be a championship Final Four contender. Do you have 3 things that Kentucky needs to do this year? There's a lot of question marks around this team, Adam. Like, there's no way around that. I'm excited. I'm as excited as I can be. I mean, like, I don't think my expectations have shifted too much over the last 6 years as things have been sort of down around the basketball program. But I do think that there are question marks with this team, and I've given what I think needs to happen. What are your 3 things that must happen if Kentucky is going to make a Final Four?
Yeah, the number one thing I think is that the cream is going to have to sort of rise to the top in terms of the rotation. I mean, I don't think he's recruited anybody with the intent of them not to play, maybe with the exception of Braden Hawthorne's little brother, Zion. And so it may be Reese Potter's, in a position where he's practice guy, maybe plays spot minutes. But I mean, otherwise you've got 12 people who in theory could contribute. And it's sort of PTSD from last year's roster construction to an extent in terms of just the depth, which is obviously a good thing, especially considering our injury luck that you've done such a good job documenting over the years. And so maybe we need all those guys.
It's been so much fun. I tell you, it's been a fun thing. I have to make another video this year. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do it without throwing up.
I feel you there. So I mean, obviously depth's good from that perspective, but at the same time, you've got 12 mouths to feed, and I'm getting a little, like I said, PTSD from last year, from the sense of like, how are you going to make all those guys happy? I don't think it's crazy to say that there were some guys maybe at the bottom of the rotation last year that weren't too happy with playing minutes, and now you're potentially going to be in that position again. So how does Mark Pope handle that, right? Do we play everybody 20 minutes and get the optimal minutes per minute efficiency that he likes so much, or do you say, nope, Milan, we're paying you the most. You need to shoot 10 threes a game. You need to be out there 35. And where do you cut that off? Is it 8-man rotation? Is it 9? I just don't see, unless you're going to pull the Rick Pitino move of like on the TV behind you there. I just don't see a world where you can play 10, 11 guys significant minutes and expect to make a run. The cream's got to rise to the top. We got to get 7, 8 guys as our core rotations. We trust those guys. We play them, and then and see if we can go from there. So that'd be. Go ahead.
Did you read Jack Pilgrim's intel on Kentucky KSR's? I'm sorry, this is the first Kentucky basketball. I'm reading his. I'll just read the headline. I already started. Intel, KSR's first Kentucky basketball practice report of the summer. Jack Pilgrim has a ton of good information on there, so I would highly recommend people go and check that out. I'm not going to obviously read this verbatim, but I do. There are a few points from it that I want to point out, and the first one was brought up in the chat, and it's about Cam Williams. Cam Williams is in a boot and out indefinitely as he works to get his foot back to 100% after fighting to return for postseason action in March. They said it's not due to a setback or re-aggravation. This is more of a precaution, but Cam Williams is in a boot. So, I'm not going to overreact to that. The injury happened last year. We had this with Otega Owe last year. He had turf toe. He was in a boot for a lot of the summer, and I felt like it took him a little bit to get going once he came back. Let's just hope that this is something that will be taken care of early on here in these summer workouts. But the more surprising thing, you mentioned Justin McBride. Jack says, as for the remaining available Wildcats, what if I told you that Justin McBride was the best player in the gym on Monday? That is huge, Adam. That means if Justin McBride can have similar numbers to what he had at James Madison, there's a scenario where you can slide Milan Momcilovic to the 3, Justin McBride play the 4. Hopefully he's a good enough defender, because right now I'm worried about Milan playing that 4 spot, and then Kentucky really does have to just outscore opponents.
No, I completely agree. I think that Kentucky best version of itself will be with Milan playing the 3 and putting somebody, maybe that's Njai, maybe that's McBride at that 4 spot. Njai is obviously such a question mark coming from international. We just don't know what he's going to bring to the table yet. But we know McBride can put up 15 points a game. Granted it was a mid-major, so that's again really enticing. And so if we can get him and in Jack's first practice report of the summer, which is always how the season plays out. If history is right, everybody who's great at practice in the summer is always great in the real season. Then McBride continues to play at a high level, then that's going to be a huge plus for what Kentucky's ceiling could be.
Lots of good stuff there from Jack Pilgrim as I was going through some of that. There was also an injury update that he gave on Frank Kepning. So he was doing something. I said as an early scratch also as Kentucky load manages his final season of college basketball. He's had a career of leg injuries. So there you go. Outside of that, though, everything else has been great coming out of the first day. So it's very early. As Nick Roush said, for me to not do, he said, don't read too much into these practice reports. We're in the first week of it. But it's kind of hard not to, and as we anticipate some video opportunities and things to be able to actually see this team on the floor, I'm excited for that. Get your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Game Day Men's Health, they are redefining men's wellness. No shortcuts, just results, testosterone, peptides, and sexual performance therapy. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. They're defining a new era in men's health. And Adam, I've been locked into this World Cup. We've had some shocking results yesterday, but you watched the United States men's team play on Friday, correct?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to overreact to that either, speaking of overreacting, but I was watching Fox's post-game coverage on FS1, and they were saying some pretty crazy stuff. Are they contenders? Is the U.S. men's national team a contender to win it? I still lean heavily no, but I think right now, U.S. soccer, because of that result on Friday and because of the World Cup being in America, there are the casual sports fan is now interested, and they have their attention. So in this very crucial game this coming Friday against Australia, the United States needs to win that game, and it would be nice to do it decisively. What have you thought about the United States' performance on Friday and going forward?
Well, kind of like how the history of Kentucky basketball always will get me excited with high expectations every single year because I'm historically used to them being great. The exact opposite is true for the U.S. men's national team in soccer, right? You're just so used to being disappointed with how the men's team ends up playing that I expect to be disappointed again this year, and will be happily surprised if they turn it around and can go on a run. And what they did, they looked awesome against Paraguay. That just creating havoc in the box and just making just looking like they were the better team, but not the team that they
were playing attacking soccer.
Exactly.
They were you were not used to watching the U.S. men's national team play like that. They usually try to they'll drop 11 behind the ball and try to keep the other team from scoring and maybe sneak in a goal and get out with a 1-0 win. But that was fun. That was exciting. That's how you bring in that casual sports fan to care about the U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, exactly. I had my 5-year-old watching it, and he actually maintained his attention the entire time because they were scoring goals. I thought we might get one, strong USA chant with him, and then we ended up getting, 4 since we scored 4 on it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm hoping they can kind of keep that going because, like you said, with it, I still I'm leaning no in terms of my optimism on them making a large run, just kind of based on a lifelong of disappointment. But the stars are kind of aligning, right? We've got an attacking offense. It's getting played on the home turf. You've got a lot of additional enthusiasm and excitement around it. So if it's going to happen, this might be a good time. And on top of that, you couple with maybe some traditional powerhouses like Spain, maybe not playing quite as great as they can.
Wow. What? That's a shocking result.
Know. Yeah.
That was wild. Cape Verde tied Spain. We were talking about that during the show yesterday as the game was going on and ending as we were wrapping up as well. Spain 0, Cape Verde 0. Cape Verde wins 0-0. That is a win for Cape Verde. All games yesterday ended in a tie. That 0-0 draw was the first 0-0 draw of the tournament. But the everything that happened yesterday was mildly shocking. The New Zealand-Iran game finishing 2-2. That was wasn't it weird? Like, wasn't it weird seeing like the Iran flag over the?
Yeah, I know.
Like, it was just weird, because that's kind of what makes the World Cup so special. Iran scores a goal. They're doing like sniper finger guns into the crowd with the host nation while being at war with the host nation. That's crazy. That is what makes this tournament so awesome. They tied New Zealand 2-2. That was a thrilling tie. And then Belgium, Egypt getting a point from Belgium. The reason that the United States winning 4-1 was so big, Adam, was because you now have a solid goal differential. If you win this game on Friday, you're probably going to win your group. Then you play the team that finished third in another group. If you win that, you have a winnable game in the round of 16. Now you can really dream about pulling off an upset in a quarterfinals game and reaching the semis, which the U.S. has not done since 1930.
Yeah, like you said, the stars are aligning. The stars and stripes are aligning, I guess, in terms of making this a real possibility to make a run. Still got to happen, and I'm not going to say, all right, well, one good game against the 47th ranked team in the nation in Paraguay is all of a sudden going to make me think that we're going to lift the goal, lift the cup.
Who would that be? Who would beating Paraguay? Who would that be like in beating in basketball last year? Like, would that be like who was a 47th best team? Would that be like beating Santa Clara?
Indiana?
Yeah. Probably Indiana at home.
Without the name recognition.
But they didn't make the tournament, so they weren't even technically.
Like South America, so you think they're going to be good. Indiana, you think would be good.
I mean, Paraguay beat Argentina. They beat Brazil in the World Cup, and leading up to the World Cup just a few months ago, I guess. So they're not that bad. Local John here into the Game Day Men's Health text line. He says, all right, KRC, yes, a new athletic director is a big, key, important aspect at the university. I'm glad to see we did get one. I hope they do great. I'm ready for football, but guys, I'm telling you, I'm more ready for basketball. Is there something about, I don't know what it is, Adam. I'm so excited for the Will Stein era. And I have said over and over that I am a believer in Will Stein winning big games at Kentucky and getting Kentucky into the playoffs. Why am I struggling to be excited about Kentucky football? I feel like I'm just overlooking it. All I can think about is basketball in the offseason. Is that just how I've trained my brain for the last 36 years to only care in the offseason about basketball and only care about football once we've reached the September? Are you like that in any way? Or do you have your mind on football as well?
No, I mean, that's why way I heard it once was when it comes to Brazil, right? So the number one sport in Brazil is volleyball, randomly enough. And
I did not know that.
And the country's religion is soccer, right? And I feel it's the same way with Kentucky basketball, right? It's sport. Football is really high up there on the list for us, but I mean, our religion is basketball. And so no matter what's going on in football, for right or for wrong, it's always going to just take a second fiddle to what's going on in the basketball court. And so, but I am pumped for Stein. I think that the small stuff that he's done so far has been super exciting. I mean, I think the lowering of the concession prices, and I know you and Roush kind of touched on it in the first segment, but that does so much more than just make fans happy. That's potentially going to increase revenue, which is a huge thing in this era right now. And then to have a win-win with increasing revenue, but also making it more affordable for people to come is just a great move in this world of needing money and wins and excitement. So, but I am excited about football. I don't think we're gonna, go 12-0 and pull in Indiana this season, but just the optimism that he's brought to this place, in addition to just cool things like the Power K. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
of course.
That was an easy win. Will Stein has tapped into the fan base. He knows what he's doing.
And then if we can, increase the game day experience a little bit, maybe cheers to the science team, but I don't necessarily need to know about your award-winning event from during the fourth quarter of the game, and just really kind of amp that up and really get the game day atmosphere dialed up a little bit. So I think it's going to make football that much more exciting. It'll never be Kentucky's religion like basketball is, but it'll definitely take a notch up from where it's been the last couple years anyway.
Just remember, it did take Kurt year 2 to go undefeated, so be patient now.
That's right. That's good.
We'll take 10-3. UK Rob thinks Kentucky's going 9-3. He said when we beat Bama and LSU, every game will be a sellout. Adam, do you think Alabama, week 2, first SEC game of the Will Stein era, that's got to be a sellout, right? They got to fill that place up,
right? Yeah, I mean, I don't see how it wouldn't, especially if you come out, against Youngstown State and blow them out and show oh, wait a second, we've got a promising team that can throw points on the board. And now we got Bama early on before they are established and everybody knows everybody on the roster like they will by the end of the season. I think absolutely they've got a shot to sell that out. And if we can, again, make those game day adjustments where we got an atmosphere that's rivals other stadiums in the SEC, I think it could be a really, really, really fun day of football.
Des Moines guy texts into the Game Day Men's Health text line. He says, am I on drugs or are you guys on drugs? Someone's on drugs. Trevor?
I mean, I'm awake, but I need to know what he's referring to.
I don't know what he's referring to either. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That came in at right at the top of the show. Des Moines guy, let's go into a little more detail there. I'm not sure what was going on. This text message says, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm excited about J-Bat because of his connection with Nate Oates. So I can kind of see where this is going. I'm kind of hoping Oates is our coach this time next year. Well, here's the thing about hoping for that is then you have to hope that Kentucky is bad, like really bad this year. Mark Pope finally is starting to get some recruiting momentum. This team can be not only good enough to keep his job, this team can be good enough to like win something this season. I don't know if they will or not, but this team can be good enough to do that. There's, as we mentioned at the start of this segment, there's a lot of question marks around this team. If they can hit on a few of those question marks, guys who we think could be good, we need to be good, they ended up being as good as we think they will be. This team can be good enough to do something. Win their region in the NCAA tournament. Win the SEC tournament. Challenge for the SEC regular season title. I know Florida's going to be heavy favorites again, Adam. But I don't know. Did you listen to the Barstool guys before this show? They were on KSR. They hosted KSR today.
A little bit. I got some of it.
They were heavily pushing the Nate Oates to Kentucky storyline. So they're saying, no, Mark Pope, when they ended up flipping it to be a little more positive, but they said, well, you know, after Mark Pope wins a title this year, he'll hang it up and then they'll bring Nate Oates in. I was big on the Nate Oates train, but I have not given up on Mark Pope yet. And there's no reason to at this juncture. Last year was disappointing, but I'm willing to go in with optimism for this team because of the roster and for Mark Pope because I think he's just had terrible injury luck. So I want to see what he does with the roster that he thought he was going to have. I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I know that's the Big Cat and those guys said that John Calipari was on the hot seat in like 2015 as well, right? I mean, they're just kind of
they said it about Mark Pope today. Yes,
yeah, they're saying it just to rile up the fan base, which is fine. That's awesome, summer radio. But I mean, I don't think that Nate Oates thing is a possibility. Probably at this point, I was a huge proponent of hiring him the last time that we had a job opening. I think he's really embraced the whole modern basketball thing, and it's just I think he would be a great fit. But at this point, if the job opening were to come up anytime soon, I get it. We've got the AD that hired him now, but I don't. I just think that ship has probably sailed. I would look for somebody kind of more new and upcoming. I don't know. I'm going to cross that bridge when we get to it. Like you said, I've not given up.
I hope we don't. I hope it's something that hope it's a bridge we never have to cross because I hope it's
not for a long time.
Is Nate Oates going to be the new Jay Wright or the new Billy Donovan then? Is that what you're telling me?
Just that Kentucky fans are constantly bringing his name up.
Every UK fan wants, but he never comes here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Billy Donovan's still the current Billy Donovan after the last coaching search.
That's true.
He's thinking, "Oh, yeah, let him go."
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Peake.
All right, I was just I want to continue on this because I was going to go to a different text. So if you have another point to make, let's go to it.
No, the biggest thing is I would emphasize that Mark Pope is not anywhere in, oh my gosh, he is in serious trouble based on what he's done this offseason. And I think giving him a good shot. Now, do I think he's going to make it a super easy decision where he goes to the Final Four? I still think we've got to catch a lot of breaks in order for that to happen. And some guys that we think are going to be hopefully good end up being really good. But like you said, I don't think we need to have the who's next conversation for hopefully a few more years at the least.
Trevor, when do we got to go to break?
We're going to hit it out here right about now. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
I got Mark Pope on the hot seat conversation.
No, you're good. You're good. So, all right, we'll take our break. You'll come back for a second hour. Adam Stratton, I appreciate you coming on. At Adam Stratton, KSR on Twitter. We'll have you back on again here in a few weeks, Adam. I appreciate you. When we come back, second hour, we're going to talk to Spencer Smith, Brandon Ramsey. A lot more to talk about here on Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. We'll be right back.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, appreciate it. What was the last topic I missed, just out of curiosity?
It was South End Josh yelling at me. So he sent me a direct message saying I could not disagree with your take more. So it's about
Jeffersonville.
All right, I got you, man.
Hey there, New Albany.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Mayor Jeff
All right, later.
Gahan. It's another year here in our River City, and what better time to show your support for our high school's athletic programs? Whether it's basketball or football, track and field or soccer, swimming or tennis, our Bulldogs are giving it their all on the field and court.
All right, guys,
So let's
on the
rally behind them,
StreamYard, you
Come
are
out to
going
the-
to you're gonna get a treat here. I got a few minutes. I'm gonna show you guys what my parents' house looks like. It is pretty crazy, with all the Kentucky stuff. You can see everything behind me here, but let me see. We got this right here. So I'm gonna just kind of give you guys a quick tour before I have to come back on.
Bookings. After your round, unwind at the Mammoth Grill, where delicious food meets stunning course views in our brand new clubhouse. Visit parkmammothgolfclub.com and experience the best in golf today.
Defining a new era in men's health, Game Day Men's Health delivers real results. No shortcuts.
Okay, this is their bathroom.
Testosterone replacement, weight loss, to peptides, vitamins, and sexual performance therapy, they will have you covered. From their in-house lab that gives you answers in just 15 minutes in our clinic that is designed for men who value speed, privacy, and most importantly, results. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Real men, real science, real change. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com.
At Myers Collision Center, they can help with minor dings to major structural work. Myers Collision Center gives fast, free estimates with a lifetime warranty on workmanship. Myers Collision Center is trusted by thousands of drivers in the community, and they've been voted best auto body shop in Clarksville since 2024. So the next time you have an accident, remember Myers Collision Center can take you from to Myers Collision Center. Open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or stop by in Southern Indiana at 2803 Blackiston Mill Road. Online at myerscollisioncenter.com.
Roosters is the place to watch your favorite teams play. From college to the pros,
For the,
Roosters has
coasters.
all the games. Plus, you're going to love the food at Roosters. Come watch the games and enjoy 79-cent boneless wings every Monday. Roosters with 6 Kentuckiana locations: Dixie Highway, Preston Highway, Fern Creek, Shelbyville Road, Springhurst, and in Clarksville.
Used to have like the 19.
When design is key to your landscape project, give Walnut Ridge Landscape and Design a call at 812-288-6691. Walnut Ridge has more experience than any landscape company in the area. Remember, Walnut Ridge Landscape and Design. When design is key to your project and you want the most experienced landscaping company in the area, give Walnut Ridge a call at 812-288-6691. Walnut Ridge Landscape and Design. When design is key.
Honey Baked Ham in New Albany is the perfect spot for a healthy alternative to fast food. They provide a variety of freshly made sandwiches, as well as salads and delicious soups. And you can dine in or take it to go. They also have many dinner
my
options,
parents are
turkey, frozen sides,
specifically
and
my
desserts,
dad.
which provide a complete meal. Catering is also available for small groups or large gatherings.
It's
Call
insane.
Honey
All right,
Baked
here's
Ham today, 812-941-9426.
Comeback cast. I probably read through this
3602
30
North Cape
times
Court,
when I was a kid.
23 in New Albany.
Partly cloudy sky this afternoon. Temperatures warmer than what we were yesterday. That's going to feed some downpours later on this afternoon and this evening especially. It's staying dry for the next several hours. The high of about 81 degrees. 60s tonight with off and on showers. Breezy and warm and more humid on Wednesday and strong thunderstorms in the pre-dawn hours of Thursday. From Wave Storm Tracking Team, I'm Brian Good.
This is Dugan Ryan. I would love the opportunity to talk with you about how we can help grow your business and have your business's brand associated with Big X Sports Radio. Give me a call today at 812-725-1457.
Welcome back to Kentucky Roll Call.
I think we ain't done yet. You personally, I think we ain't doing yet.
With Walker and Peake.
Welcome back. Second hour of Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. It's KSR Takeover Tuesday. Spencer Smith, he is a frequent guest on Sources Say. You'd almost say co-host of Sources Say. Him and Sean Smith splitting duties there. Is
he the source, is what you're telling me?
He is a source that says.
Okay, he's not the source.
Spencer's great. The reason that so for one, he knows ball. Like he really does.
I'm not Spencer, so just don't get confused.
That is Trevor Kelsey. If you're listening, if you're watching, we are on Kentucky Sports Radio's YouTube channel today, and it's nice to find a new audience for the show, Kentucky Roll Call. You can listen to this Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. on BigXSportsRadio.com or 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. Spencer will be joining us here in a second.
I have
Trevor
to ask
and
quick, during the break, was I privileged to the tour of the basement of your childhood home, or was that just for everybody?
That was everybody.
Okay, because I couldn't hear what you were saying.
I realized it was on mute. Yes, as I was going through it.
It was regardless for me because I had to have it muted because of if I potted it up, you'd be on the air during commercials. But yeah, I thought you had forgotten about me because you went right to the bathroom, and I was like, does he know I'm still here?
I didn't tell you what I was doing, and you couldn't hear me, so people were probably wondering, what am I about to see here? No, it was very intentional.
I'm turning the channel. I did love the tour. I do. I always wish I had a basement in my house because I don't, which I could turn into like the man cave, I know, or whatever it is you want to call it nowadays. But going around and looking, seeing some of the stuff, like one of the paintings you have in the bathroom, I have the Louisville version. There's another thing I saw on your wall that I have a Louisville version of as well. My den of memorabilia is majority Eagles autographs. I have a soft spot for autographed paintings and pictures and stuff and big things you can frame. But I love the tour. I love all the memorabilia. I love the starting lineups, the baseballs.
There's a lot here. Trevor, as
I watched the game.
I did not have a choice growing up, as you can imagine.
Unless you just wanted to be like the anti to your parents and just
it could be the contrarian of the family. My uncle is that.
My best friend is a Kentucky fan. His whole family is Louisville diehards. So.
We got the 1993 NCAA tournament run playing over here on the old TV right here. Spencer Smith is here. Hey, real quick, Trevor, did you see where the guy bet $1 million on Spain to win? It was only going to pay out $85,000. I think I saw that right. It was only going to pay out $85,000. And he lost the bet. It should have been an easy win. I don't get why you put $1 million. I could see where I've thought of doing stuff like that, where I'm like, I could bet $1,000 here and make what, like, I don't know, would that be $85? But that's why you don't do it. That right there.
I do wish I could make. I wish I could have the money or like KRC money or that guy's money to be like, oh, I'm only going to make $85,000 off of it. Oh, well, like to me, I make $85,000. You're not going to see Trevor on KSR for like 2 weeks because I'm going on vacation, buddy. I'll be the opposite of the guy that's going around America. I'll be going around the Netherlands. You can't wait to see that video, I'm sure. So,
I wonder what that guy's or girls.
If you have $1 million to throw down like that, you have to be like, oh well. Like, was it Floyd?
Do you think they were just like, oh, well, I mean, $1 million is $1 million. Like, I don't know how much you'd have to have to even risk a bet like that. But also, it was supposed to be like a sure thing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm guaranteed $85,000. Yeah,
that's probably what he thought. I wonder if that led to any arguments.
I'd like to think he's no longer married anymore. I hope to think so.
That is calls for divorce.
I already put down $1 million on the USA against Paraguay and walked away with a new car.
Somebody said in the Game Day Men's Health YouTube chat, Steven, do you have on video 1994 championship? Do I have video of the 1994 championship, or do I have on? This is the 1993. See, they're playing in Nashville. I don't know who they're playing. They just beat up on Wake Forest, though.
93, they would have beaten Florida State in the Elite, wouldn't they?
Okay, so maybe that's who it is.
Yeah, because Mark Bell and Western lost to Florida State in Sweet 16. Mark Bell missed the jumper in overtime.
I do wonder who they're playing here, though, because this has to be the Sweet 16. Back in the 90s, Trevor and Spencer, I don't understand this. Why was the score bug not like ever shown? Every time I look over here, I can't see the score.
We didn't have that technology back then.
I mean, it's really strange, but like the technology was there to put it up on the screen, but I guess just not to make it permanent. I don't know. It's really odd because when you watch old games, you get really annoyed. You're like, I don't know how much time's left. What's the score? Like,
I'm assuming that when you watched the game in the early 90s and late 80s, you had to be paying attention, like from start to finish. If you were flipping through the channels, I guess it made it to where you had to stay on the game long enough to see the score. Maybe that's how they got a few more viewers.
And we didn't have DVR back then, so you couldn't change. You had to stay on TV. Yeah, you couldn't DVR a game or record it. You had to be there at home to watch it. I think that's what trained me for never wanting to leave my house by the time I got to my 40s. Was my 90s. It conditioned me to never want to have to leave.
Yeah, they're giving all the scores of the other games right now. As Kentucky's just dunking on them. Derek Anderson. Oh, wait, not Derek Anderson. He didn't play then. Brady, Junior Brady. Forgot about him.
It's not 93.
What's that? Junior Brady? Is this not 1993? Okay, yeah. Oh, they're playing Ryder, and they're up 94-48.
Oh, okay, Ryder. So that can't be Sweet 16 then. I mean,
no. I'm sure that this tape said 1993 tournament run, but we'll look up that right. Hey,
the local player Perrin Johnson was once recruited to Ryder.
I'm a big Perrin Johnson fan. I like Perrin. All right, Spencer. Welcome into the show, Spencer Smith. What's your Twitter handle again?
Spencer_Smith10. I haven't had a lot of content lately, but I'm gonna up it as we get closer to the season. So yeah,
I love that. Spencer, you were on this show. It was, I don't know, I guess it was a little over a month ago, and I asked you about, how do you feel about the roster right now? What's the ceiling? And you told me that if Kentucky got Milan Momcilovic, you would even consider them not just a Final Four contender, but you might even expect them to get to a Final Four. But when I watched you on Sources Say last week, you said, I don't think they're a Final Four contender. But, Spencer, they got Milan Momcilovic. Why are they still not a Final Four contender in your opinion?
No, it's a good question. I think in my mind, I was also envisioning the roster coming together slightly differently.
Fair enough.
Like we have the potential to add, now a big European piece would be huge. I was thinking that the staff will also still be pretty aggressive, for instance, in like going and adding one more guard, which we didn't really do. Which again, I think that this European piece that we could add, which I'm going to butcher his pronunciation of his name, but I watched a lot of film on him over the weekend after Jack's report. He could definitely run the 2 spot for us, like without a doubt. So like that made me feel a lot better if we can land him. I think
wow, really?
Yeah, he can definitely run the 2 spot like very effectively, I think. And it's maybe not his like number 1 position, but he can run it really, really well.
How tall is he?
He's 6'9". So then you're really talking positional size.
Wow. Yeah. I was shocked that you said the two guard, because I just assumed this was a guy who was just going to be a tall, thin 4 or maybe a 3. But that just shows also the difference in basketball than what it was played in 1993. I'm looking over here at the screen. A 6'9" 2 guard.
Yeah, because we're pretty loaded kind of at a 3-4 swing spot. Like you've got Cam and Milan, who can both really effectively play the 3 and the 4. You could even throw McBride at the 3. I wouldn't, but you could. But then both of those guys can play the 4, Cam and Milan. You got McBride who can play the 4. You got Njai who can play the 4. Where does Braden Hawthorne fit into all that? So you're kind of loaded at that spot. But what this team, I think, is still missing is like one more really dynamic guard who can create and play make, who can make shots, be a finisher. Or on the flip side, maybe you throw all that out the window and you go, we're just going to go get a really gritty defender who can play that spot and can kind of be that Tony Allen kind of really good defender, hustle guy. But I think when I was on the show last, I was picturing hopefully Malachi coming back, we get Milan, and I was almost certain we're going to be pretty aggressive to get one more guard. And we just haven't done that to this point. So I still see a gap there. I think on Sources Say, I said this team can make the Final Four in the way that like 2011 did, which is like maybe they're not viewed as a favorite going into it, but they definitely have the talent and the pieces and the shot making to get there. And then it's all just about matchups and all that type of stuff where that 2011 run was a lot of fun. Like with Milan now, you could see something like that.
With that 2011 team, they just lost like almost every SEC road game. But obviously the talent was there. I think they only played 6 or 7 guys on that team. But you could see where like they just couldn't figure out how to win these close games on the road. And then you get to the NCAA tournament. What were they, a 4 seed that year? They ran through the SEC tournament, got that 4 seed when they should have probably been a little bit higher than that. And yeah, I mean, like that's when they figured out how to win close games, and it took until the end of the season. I'm hoping for a better regular season than that, but I know that the SEC is tough. They are playing 5 quality out of conference teams again this season. And more of the schedule came out yesterday. I don't know. There should not be any losses there in the 7 out of conference games that they added yesterday. Mark Pope's done pretty well against mid-major teams at Kentucky. But if you think, I mean, do you think this is another 10-loss team, or do you think that this like? I think that's what people are afraid of, that we're going into another year where you're going to lose 10 games, and then you're going to need kind of a miracle run to the tournament to do what Kentucky fans have been waiting 14 years for.
Yeah, I think it certainly could be at this point. Yeah, but I mean, again, to your point, the SEC is loaded. We're playing a pretty tough out of conference, but I think I mentioned it on Sources Say, like our out of conference is actually like there's no games on there that I go, I don't know if we could win that. Like if the ACC Challenge had put us on the road at Duke, I might go, I don't know if we probably have a really like realistic chance to win that. There's really no game on the schedule like that where I'm like, okay, our toughest game is probably Louisville, but it's at home, so you probably win that one. Our next toughest one's probably opponent-wise, probably Virginia on the road, but could be a really fun environment. Everybody else, you're kind of like, yeah, it's a neutral site game or it's at home, and I think those are all super winnable. So you could stack up a lot of wins in the non-conference where you come out of it maybe 12-1. And so then you say, okay, do I think we're going to lose 9 SEC games? Like, no, not in the regular season. At least I don't anticipate that. Do I think we maybe go 12-6 in SEC play? Like that seems like very, very like a reasonable bet given how difficult the SEC will be. But if you go 12-1 in the non-conference, 12-6 in SEC play, you make it to Saturday of the SEC tournament, you're probably a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament, which again, for some of BBN might not excite them, like have them jumping over the moon.
There's at least hope with the 3 seed. There's 100%. At least, I mean, last year's tournament, there was like when Ortega makes that shot and then you get up 20-9 on Iowa State. There is a little bit of like, maybe this is the magic run that we were hoping for, but a 3 seed has legitimate chance to make the Final Four. 3 seeds make the Final Four all the time. So it's, they don't win national championships very often, but they can win 4 games in the NCAA tournament. So yeah, I mean, like they got a 3 seed in 2024 with Dillingham and Shepherd, and I thought that team, if they just, I know it sounds so ridiculous, if they got past Oakland, I think that team could have made the Final Four. I know that sounds silly, but that's the kind of path you can have as a 3 seed. So I wouldn't be too disappointed about that, and I think it's trending in the right direction. Now you go and you get Ryan Hampton, you bring in a couple other freshmen that are 5 stars. We get 5 stars again. And what I think is the most important thing for this season, aside from like winning a lot of games, is that they run Mark Pope's offense, that they have the fun offense that we saw in year 1 that attracts players to want to come play in this system. Do you think they can at least do that?
Yeah, I think that this team will be really fun offensively. You have a lot of tools. I think honestly the best way for this team to play probably, because I'm not sold really on their ability to sit down for 30 seconds and defend on a regular basis. Unless like there's so many unknowns, because like what's Njai going to look like? Does he turn out to be this kind of really X factor defensive guy at the 4 spot where maybe, he can do a little bit of that. Maybe Frank stays healthy all year and we just always have a shot blocker on the court, between Malachi and Frank. Like that goes a long way. Who knows? Maybe Zoom. I think Zoom Diallo has the tools to be kind of a really good defender if he just really locks into it. I just don't know if the urgency has been there for him so far. But like, can we get that out of him? So like, I think there are some question marks when it comes to the defensive side of the floor. But like, I'm not sold on their ability to sit down and defend for 30 seconds on a regular basis. So the counter to that is probably like, well, then let's just play really fast. Because when you play really fast, then you speed up your opponent as well. So your opponent all of a sudden is taking a lot more shots 9 to 12 seconds into the shot clock. Okay. What happens is sometimes the shot quality on those can drop. Okay. 2, I have a lot more faith in our ability to defend for 9 or 12 seconds than I do for 30 seconds. And so you actually can maybe lend yourself to becoming a better team when it comes to points per possession. When you play really fast, you might give up more points overall in like, as far as like how many points we give up per game, but we're going to score more per game because we're playing really fast. So then what it comes down to is points per possession. And like, can we get points per possession down lower than what it would have been if we just sit down and defend for 30 seconds? And I think that's the metric for this team. So I think we can play really fast in this really cool, fun, up-tempo offense that you're talking about. And that actually might lend itself to becoming a better defensive team per possession, because we're going to speed the other team up and get them a little bit out of character and have them taking some weird shots that they're not used to taking. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, teams did that to us last year. Like Alabama sped us up, where all of a sudden we have Otega-Oweh taking pull-up threes in transition. You know what I mean?
So what happens there, Spencer? Like, you've been around the game at this level. Like, why is it that when teams get sped up, you do end up with guys like Otega-Oweh not doing what he should be doing, getting downhill, but pulling up and shooting threes? How does that happen? What about the pace of the game makes that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the psychology of it, where it's like when teams are playing fast, you just kind of throw inhibitions out the window a little bit. And what seems like a good shot to you, because you're like, oh, I'm in rhythm, like I'm coming down, I got good rhythm to me right now, I'm just going to pull up. And I've got a lot of confidence in myself because I'm Otega-Oweh, but in a vacuum, you're just like, that's not a good shot. Like, that's not a shot that, like, our success rate on that possession is not very good. But it's really hard for a coach to control that. Like, a coach can kind of let the game get a little bit out of control because you only have a certain amount of timeouts, and you want to capitalize on a long rebound. And so you want to run if you can. So it just kind of lends itself to just kind of happening where the game gets a really frantic pace. So then it's like, well, who's going to be better at that? And like Alabama has historically been a lot better at that than teams. That's where like a team like Duke is really good, because Duke never gets sped up and they always control the tempo of the game. The game's always played at the tempo that they want it to be played at. Same with Houston. Like, those teams are really, really good at controlling the tempo. So if we want to play fast and get teams up and down, like, how good are we going to be at controlling that tempo and speeding them up? And I think we can do a really good job at that.
So what is it about? Because there was something with the Calipari teams, right? They would say when they would play somebody, they want to slow the game down against Kentucky, and there were times when it felt like that the other team could not do that. They end up playing at Kentucky's pace, or there were times when Kentucky would struggle because they would end up playing at the other team's pace. Who dictates the pace, and how does it change like that?
So unless you're just amazing at it, like Houston or Duke or whatever, like unless you're just incredible at it, like it kind of can change game by game. Like last year, we were not good at controlling the pace. Sometimes we did. Like the Vanderbilt game at home in Rupp, like we had total control. We had our thumb on that game. We had our thumb on
and they flipped a 25-point loss to a 14-point win.
Yeah, and honestly, it should have been more than 14 points, right? Like we were up by more than 20 points for a big chunk of that game. Like to your point, like the game on the road at Vanderbilt, we let them completely control the pace, and we never did anything to try to recapture that. So like Kentucky teams in the last like 5 to 7 years, like we just have not been good as a program at controlling the pace. And I think the Oscar team, where he won National Player of the Year, was probably the best at it. Thanks to Oscar, I think was kind of a big part of that. But if you go back to like the mid-Cal teams or even the early Cal teams, we were really, really good. Like that 2011 team is a good example of like when we got into late February, March, those games were played at our pace. Like we weren't going to get up and down. Like it was not good for us to get up and down and run on teams. We had a lot of games that finished in like the low 60s, Ohio State, being one of them,
yes,
and stuff. Like we controlled the pace of those games, where Ohio State had been putting 90 on people. But we beat Ohio State because we kept them in the 60s. And that was Brandon Knight and John Lamb like learned how to like control the pace of the game over the course of the year, where early in the year they didn't have that. So I just think it's such an X factor to wins and losses is like, are you the one in control of the pace? And like veteran leadership, veteran guards, knowing what's a good shot and like should I let this fly or should I back it out and like let's set up a play like that takes like it's just kind of an X factor that you either have it or you don't. And I think like with Milan and some of these guys, like maybe we're going to have that a little bit more this year.
It's interesting you brought up the 2010 2011 team a few times, and you had a freshman point guard who was actually really good, like from right out of the box, right, in Brandon Knight, but then like grew into that role. It's interesting to hear you say like Brandon Knight learned how to control the pace, even though like you feel like as a freshman he'd want to go out there and just ball, right? Just like get as many shots up as possible. Some of that is guys buying in, right? They're buying into winning. I wondered if last year there was a complete buy-in to that. And, in watching this World Cup and understanding how big chemistry is, like teams with guys who play more game or they're club teammates. So they play, there's like 6 or 7 guys from the Saudi Arabian team who play together for their club team in Saudi Arabia. And there's evidence to say like this, that chemistry is, and buying in is almost just as important as having high quality talent. Is there some truth to that in basketball as well? That just having that yes, of course, talent is very, very important, but having a system that everybody's bought into can be just as important as long as the players are good enough.
Oh, it's the most important. Like,
okay, all right.
Like buy-in trumps talent all the time. We see it in March Madness. We see like a 14 seed who just runs their offense. Everybody knows their role. They totally sell out on defense, and they beat a team that you're like, boy, that team had 2 or 3 NBA players on it.
Are you referring to Oakland and Kentucky? Is that the 14 beating the 3?
I mean, we have seen it up close a little bit, right? Where it's like,
yeah,
like
unfortunately,
Oakland had their way that they played, and they all played their role really, really well. And what ended up happening is we got a little out of sorts. And, like we see it in March every year where buy-in trumps talent. But if you can get talent to buy in, then that's going to be – and so like on sources say, Stephen, you've heard me talk about this, UConn is the best program in America in terms of their dudes just buy in to what Hurley does and preaches. And so that's why every year UConn is what UConn has been the last like 5 years under Hurley, because those dudes just buy in and they execute and they do things the right way and they dictate things the way that they want, and they're talented. So what does that mean? They've made 3 Final Fours in the last 4 years and 2 national titles. Like they are the gold standard, in my opinion, in terms of like getting dudes to buy into what they should. And at Kentucky in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I would say that the Andrew Carr team and the Maury Williams team, like they bought in, but injuries derailed them, right?
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly what happened with that team.
But you had guys selling out for their role. You had guys that knew what they were supposed to do and they did it and they bought in, and like that team felt fun because of the buy-in. Last year we didn't quite get that. Shoot, the 2024 team, I'm not sure Cal is the one that bought in because he's sticking, he's sticking to DJ Wagner and Justin Edwards in the starting lineup, for instance.
Yeah.
Rather than like doing maybe what should have been done and tinker with the line. So maybe it was the coaching staff on that team that didn't buy in to what needed to be done. But like all the way going back to like Severe Wheeler in the second year of the Oscar team, like that team just did not buy into what they needed to do, and things like that. So I think buy-in is the most important thing. Like it doesn't matter how talented you are. If they don't buy into what you need to do on a night in, night out basis, then you're not going to be anywhere close to as good as you could be. So I think it's a great point, Stephen. Yeah.
Well, you saw those teams, those really talented teams with freshmen who they were going to the NBA. Everybody knew they were going to the NBA. How did Cal get those guys to buy in, to play for the old cliche, play for the name on the front and not the name on the back? Like you saw that up close. What was it? Did anything stand out?
I just think Cal was, and I think he still is to a point, but I think it's kind of dropped off a little bit, but he just was just an absolute psychological master in terms of like getting guys to understand why this benefits you to play this way. And overexposure is a very, very real thing with basketball, where it's like if I give you too big of a role, then your flaws are going to come through more, and it's going to make people doubt. If we can get you into just the right role where you do just the right stuff, then your stock's going to soar, because we're going to sell the NBA on like a vision of what you could be, like what you are now, what you could be. And those early teams and even some of those mid teams, like with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk and those guys, like he was able to sell people on their role and why it was really, really good that they actually take a step back and take less shots, because that's what's going to be better for them for their long-term projection and better for the team. And when the team wins, then everybody wins and so on and so forth. He was really good.
Yeah,
at that.
Everybody eats was what we kept hearing.
Exactly. Like post-COVID, we heard more of like disgruntledness from guys like Chris Livingston or Severe Wheeler or like guys like that who's like they clearly just wanted more than like what they were being given at the time, even though that's not what was best for the team. Like we needed to probably get the ball out of Severe Wheeler's hands more than what we did, right?
Yeah, probably.
But then he got frustrated by that, I think, and so that led to issues. So like post-COVID, there were just more and more examples of dudes that was like they weren't buying into that vision anymore to what Cal was selling, and that led to what we saw, which was like fractured teams and kind of disjointed ways of playing and all that, and it just led to the results we've seen since 2020.
Spencer, I really appreciate you coming on. I admire your knowledge of ball, and it's always fun just to get to ask you questions. Sometimes I know, like when you went to a game this year, and I don't know if you remember, but we came out, we're getting ready to do the rapid reaction, and I had like 12 questions for you, like just firing rapid fire. So I really appreciate it. Anytime I get a chance to talk to you, it's a treat. So thank you again.
Yeah, of course. Anytime I can spend with Stephen Peake, I'm totally on board with it. So happy to join you. Yeah, thanks, Stephen.
I appreciate that. All right. We will be back. Final segment of Kentucky Roll Call here on Big X Sports Radio. Brandon Ramsey joins us when we come back. All right. We will have Brandon joining us in just a second. And a quick programming update for Kentucky Roll Call. The Kentucky basketball team will be doing media advisory on Thursday at 1. So there may not be a roll call on Thursday. We're going to have to check. That's usually when we do trivia. So if they want to, I would recommend they come on and do an hour and run trivia for Thursday and then go to national after that. Trivia is too fun. Weekly trivia is too fun to not do it. So we'll see if we can get that figured out. And we could probably, the interviews are at 1. I can get to Lexington at 12 and participate. We'll go to some of the comments, text. Get your text into the Game Day Men's Health text line also, 502-414-1450. And be reading some of the messages in the group chat. Appreciate you guys participating in there as well. Let's see here. Of course, we'll be doing this every Tuesday here on the KSR YouTube channel, bringing on 4 KSR guests, and then Trevor whenever he's available. Let's see. What do we talk with Brandon Ramsey about? My notes here says, well, first of all, I'll have to talk about the project him and I were going to work on that I'm disappointed that we may not get to now. So we'll see. Again, if you are just joining us, we're on a commercial break right now. We'll be back on the air in just a moment. You can check out, what are we doing here? Let's see if I can get to it. There, right over here. Kentucky Roll Call, Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 p.m. on BigXSportsRadio.com, 96.1. It's also on the Big X Sports Radio YouTube channel. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcast under Big X Sports Radio. Brandon Ramsey is here. We'll have him on in just a second. Once Trevor signals that we're back on the radio, we got this playing over here, the Kentucky 1993 tournament run. This is actually the second round game. I don't know why he had them out of order. Let's see. Kentucky, Louisville, 1992, right here. Kentucky, Louisville, 1992. We got a lot of games from the 90s. I don't know if we have all of them. We got a lot. Let's see what this one looks like. And Trevor, you just let me know when we're back on. I think he's talking to someone else in the studio right now. Again, you can check out Kentucky Roll Call on 96.1 FM, 1450 AM in Louisville, and on the Big X Sports Radio YouTube channel. We're there on Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. We're here on Tuesdays, though, with Nick Roush, Brandon Ramsey join us every Tuesday, and then we bring on a couple other KSR personalities to join us. So 4 different KSR personalities to listen to throughout the show. Let's see. Trevor, are we back on? The best part
of our
is
community for over a century and invest over $1 million annually training skilled local workers, members of local.
The best part, Brandon, is the commercials. The old commercials. Which one is this?
So you've been showing your old videos throughout the show today?
They've just kind of been on in the background.
Love that.
Trevor, are we back on?
No message gonna be any different. You're on the air, Stephen. Give them a note.
Right. Welcome back. Finals. Trevor, go ahead. Just sing us to the end of the show.
Is the man.
Welcome back to Kentucky Roll Call. Final segment here on this Tuesday afternoon. It's KSR Takeover Tuesday. We are live on the KSR YouTube channel as well. And if you're watching on there, you're getting behind the scenes content. Look at this United ad. Did you see that? I didn't even notice their planes used to look like that in 1992, apparently. Brandon, I'm so disappointed.
The commercials. That's the greatest thing about rewatches for me.
It's the best. I'm like looking at the old graphics here. This is the Kentucky Louisville game from 1992. And Brandon, you are on your way over here to my parents' house, and along with Zach Gagan, we were going to do this really cool video where we broke down the 1998 NCAA tournament run. What did Tubby Smith do? What changes did he make to flip a 17-point deficit into a win over Duke? How did he flip the deficit against Stanford? And then, of course, the 10-point halftime deficit against Utah. It was going to be so cool. It was going to get us 100,000 views. I don't know. It was going to be awesome. But in typical Kentucky fashion, they ruined that for us by having us go do an 8-minute, don't call it a press conference with the new AD, which was fine. I was nice being able to meet him and hear some of what Jay Batt had to say. But unfortunately, it meant we couldn't do our breakdown. I want to know, Brandon Ramsey, have you even watched these games like all the way through yet?
Honestly, no. And that's one of the really cool things about getting to do something like that, and hopefully we'll be able to reconvene and do this project that we've kind of been brainstorming for a while. But yeah, whereas something I admire about you and your fandom, Stephen, is that it predates mine by just a little bit, but also you have this steel trap memory of the past, and you are very kind of nostalgic about and we could be watching a random game against South Carolina. And it's like, oh, do you remember when, so-and-so hit this shot in 2007 at South Carolina? Does that play remind you of that? And I'm just like, no, it doesn't, Stephen, because I have no idea. But that's kind of the way your mind works. And I enjoy that side of it. I'm much more kind of in the moment. I just want to win the game. Then I want to forget about it, move on to the next one. But no,
the coach's brain. Coach's brain is different.
1998. As much as people don't want to hear this, I probably was still technically an IU fan because Coach Bob Knight had not been fired yet. So 1998 was probably I was 6 years old. I'm not going to act like I was, bleeding crimson and cream and crimson either. But I was probably technically going to IU games throughout that entire season.
Man, that is so wild. You love to hear a story like that, Brandon, where a guy grows up an Indiana fan, has all of the reasons in his family to be an Indiana fan, and chooses to be a Kentucky fan, choosing the right team. I love it. That's why we love you, Brandon Ramsey.
To me, it just shows my toughness, honestly. Like,
it does.
I went out there, I paved my own path. I didn't succumb to the Hoosier ways, and I'm just tougher than everybody else.
Could you imagine being an Indiana fan right now? Would you still care about college basketball? Would you be more of a football fan now?
That's the thing, is like, you would have experienced the very highest high, this past season of quite the suffering through. And my family did keep our football season tickets for a while. So even as I was kind of becoming a Kentucky fan, I still went to a lot of IU football events growing up, and quite literally the losingest program in the history of college football. So to go from that to obviously making the playoff last year, winning a championship this year, that would have just been an incredible run. I'm still not going to say I'm jealous of it, because I do love being a Kentucky fan, but that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, man, you just wouldn't have, heck, like, think about how frustrated we as Big Blue Nation and Kentucky fans get about the lack of basketball success that we've had. Imagine being it would be 100 times worse.
Oh my gosh. I thank my grandfather every day for making me a Kentucky fan, and not being so tempted as to being an Indiana or Louisville fan, because that sounds like a miserable existence. As Trevor Kelsey could tell us, being a Louisville fan hasn't been all that fun over the last 10 years or so. Trevor?
It's been a trampoline of an experience, I'll say. There are some ups and downs with some weird bounces.
Well, there's been a lot more downs. And
sometimes you go track and you break your neck on the side of the rim. It happens.
It's been an experience, I'm sure. So yes, very excited. As you can tell, Brandon, I did not have much of a choice here. As I was showing people, did I ever show you the tour of the bathroom at my parents' house?
No.
I was showing Trevor. Trevor didn't know he was getting a tour of the bathroom. He wasn't sure what he was getting, but I did show it off to him. It's insane. I'm excited to do the show here. I was excited for you to get to be here. We have the 3 stools here. I ordered pizza. It got delivered, but I was gone. I had to get to Lexington. So maybe we'll get to do that at some point, Brandon. So here's something that I don't know if did you read Jack Pilgrim's his intel piece?
Absolutely.
Over on. Oh yeah, of course you did. What did you take from it? What stood out to you the most?
I was happy to hear the positive takes on Justin McBride.
Yes. Me too.
That's a guy that I was, after really diving into the film on him and doing my KSR film breakdown on him, doing our Zoom action show on him, I kind of really talked myself into Justin McBride being a pretty key piece for this team, just with the versatility and skill that he brings to the front court. And then, like a lot of these little things, like, they probably don't mean anything, but again, as Kentucky fans, we're going to take like every clip and run with it. Like, just some of the off season, like random workout clips you would get of him, working out with his trainer or doing 1-on-0 stuff in the gym. Like, he looks to be in the best shape of his life, which for him has always kind of been one of the questions of, like, does this dude have a motor? Is he going to show up in shape? Is he going to be overweight? Like, those questions seem to be answered already. And now that's probably going to only take his game to a whole nother level. And obviously, again, it's 1 or 2 days of practice and workouts. No, nothing earth shattering is happening in mid-June. But it was really good to hear that, like, some of the little inklings that we got leading up to the beginning of practice of Justin McBride and his impact on this team seem to really have been solidified here early on as the team convenes together and starts practice.
I was really excited to hear the Justin McBride stuff, because I need him to be good enough to be the 4 and let Momcilovic play the 3 more so than Momcilovic playing the 4. Because I feel like if Justin McBride can be just decent on defense, that's going to make a huge difference. That's one part of this team that I am worried about. I think they're going to score a lot of points, as everybody has said today. I'm just worried that they're going to not be able to get many stops.
Right. Absolutely. It probably should be all of our worry. I mean, yeah, especially when you add Milan Momcilovic, I have no real, questions as to whether or not this will be a top 10 type offense in college basketball. And I've said on many different platforms, to me, that should be always the goal. As long as Coach Mark Pope is leading this Kentucky team, the plan should be to have top 10 offenses. That doesn't mean that you punt on the defense, but you kind of worry about that later a little bit. But yes, I am concerned that there's going to be games where Kentucky scores 95, but they give up 100. And, that's a very frustrating way to lose basketball games. But yeah, I think, with a veteran like McBride, who's now made his way back to the high major level, probably trying to prove himself to some pro scouts across the country. If he can step in and not just be an excellent offensive player, but bring some versatility, some athleticism, some physicality to the defensive side of the floor. And then obviously you pair him with what we expect Malachi Moreno to be inside, the versatility that Cam Williams provides on the wings, and some of the other pieces you have. If you can start to punch up a level towards your ceiling defensively, then I think that's how this group can really come together and compete for some championships this season.
Speaking of Cam Williams, Jack Pilgrim posted a photo on his Twitter account showing the practice from today. Yeah, today, and Cam Williams is out there shooting jumpers. Looks like the boot is off and he's ready to go. So boom, we're back, baby. We got a clean injury report through the second day of practice. That's some good news.
Yes, yeah. I think everybody probably did a kind of a collective gulp when they were hearing, or when they read Jack's piece from last night, because it sounded like he was in a boot. Maybe he wasn't a participant in the first workout on Monday. Same thing with Big Frank. I think that was kind of literally just load management of this guy's 26 years old. He's had injury issues. He's also been around the block a million times. He probably doesn't need to be in practice every single day. And honestly, a lot of that stuff, again, it's June 15th and now June 16th, whatever. This is a long off season. I mean, you still got 2 months before school even starts. Then you got, another month or so before real official practice starts. You're not playing a game until November. If a guy's in a boot today, if a guy sits out practice tomorrow, these sort of things are going to happen throughout the June and July months where you're getting some workouts in. Precaution is going to be taken at every turn. Anytime somebody needs some additional treatment, hey, instead of practicing today, go get treatment, go get in the cold plunge, go, work out with, the, physical therapy team, whatever it may be. So I really don't put much, if any, stock into kind of little load management or injury maintenance misses to practice at this point in the season. But obviously getting back to a full bill of health and seeing him out on the court is where we want to see him.
I'm excited for Cam Williams, man. I really think that people are sleeping on this kid. We saw what he was able to do once he got acclimated to everything. He started out a little slow, and maybe that tempered some people's expectations of what he could do. But, I mean, this is a guy who, I understand Bellarmine was playing a zone, and he was able to get open looks and all that. He hit 8 threes in a game. He shot 41% at Tulsa. So not Tulsa, Tulane. This is a guy who, when I go through the roster, and I know we did this last year. I know, because there were times last year I'd go through the roster and I'd think, man, they are loaded. Oh, and they got Colin Chandler. I forgot about Colin. Or Trent Noah. I forgot about Trent. Cam is a guy I feel like is getting looked over, and I have reasonably high expectations for him this year. What about you? Am I right about that, or do you think that he's still just going to be kind of a role player this season?
Well, I think really both answers to your question can be yes. I think he can be a role player and have a very big impact on this team. Like a Darius Miller kind of role player, like 2011 Darius. Maybe next year he becomes 2012 Darius. Is that possible? Yeah. I'm not expecting or hoping really even that Cam Williams becomes a 15-point per game scorer. I want him to make 63s this year at 37 to 40%. I want him to be probably our best kind of perimeter wing defender. I want him to help in the rebounding efforts where we're going to need some help this year, and kind of be that steady piece that's been around the program now, going on his second year. I think a lot of the kind of hopeful expectations that people have about Braden Hawthorne, some of the hopeful expectations people have about Usman Njai. Like, that's the way I feel about Cam Williams, quite frankly, because we've actually seen it a little bit. That's not to say that those other two guys can't come in and be as good or better, and I hope they are. But at least I've seen it with my own two eyes at Kentucky with Cam Williams. Now, yes, a lot of the shooting numbers kind of got helped out late there by making 8 out of 10 3-point attempts against Bellarmine, but we saw what he can do as a defensive presence on the perimeter, and I think that catch and shoot ability, it hasn't gone away for him. So yeah, I absolutely think and honestly expect Cam Williams to be a pretty serious role player on this Kentucky team.
Brandon, actually, so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, and we're kind of changing gears here, but you're very calm in our group chat. Do you ever, I know you get nervous though during games. Like, how nervous do you get during watching Kentucky basketball games?
So it's a funny question. And this is like, technically this is sad. It probably is unhealthy, but like, in my opinion, it's better to care about something than to care about nothing.
100%. Yes. Thank you.
And like there are a lot of times where like I just like the game starts and I really just want it to be over. And that's a very strange way to look at something that like I look forward to the games all week. The time I put into my scouting reports, all that stuff. I love doing all that. I love the lead up to the game. I look forward to the game, and I love the competition aspect. But then kind of once the ball gets tipped, I just want the game to be over, and I just want Kentucky to have more points in their team. And I know that is like a kind of a neurotic way, again, for like, one of my favorite things in the world is Kentucky basketball. Yet when Kentucky actually plays basketball, I'm just wishing it to be done. But that's kind of the way that I feel. So yeah, it's nerves. It's probably, some sort of, neurotic psychosis that I go through.
Well,
but yes, I 100% have some of those kind of crazy feelings that probably a lot of BBN feels.
Certainly. I know that I feel them a lot, and I absolutely can relate to I've looked forward to this game all week, but I need it to hurry up and be over because the anxiety is reaching a breaking point for me. But the reason I ask is because like I wondered, you coach at the collegiate level. Did you find that you got less nervous on the sidelines than you do as a fan?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because I mean, even as an assistant coach, like you still like I have my thumb on the game to some extent. Like, I'm not even the guy making all the calls as the head coach on the sidelines, but like there's something I have directly done throughout the week. There's something that I can directly do during the 40 minutes of competition that at least helps or hurts my team win or lose a little bit. Whereas for me in my role now, there's nothing I can really possibly do other than show up to Rupp Arena and scream and yell like a crazy person that even like one minutia has anything to do with the outcome of our games. And yeah, like obviously it is different, like when you're in it and you're coaching and like you lose a game. I mean, yeah, I hate when Kentucky loses. I feel it for, at least 24 hours and I'm, I don't wake up as excited the next day if we lose than if we win. Whereas like, yeah, if you're coaching, like it is kind of your livelihood. Like I don't want to show my face in the office the next day, all that kind of stuff. You don't feel that you feel, or you don't feel some of that as a fan as you do when it's literally your job. But yes, I probably am 100% less nervous, or was less nervous as a coach for our games than I am as a fan for our games.
Do you? The reason I ask that is because I've often wondered, and I haven't really got a chance to ask any head coaches this or even assistants at Kentucky, but the knowing you have control over it. I looked at Mark Pope on the sideline, looked at coaches on the sideline last year, and same with Calipari too. When it gets to crunch time, I never feel like these guys are ever super nervous. And when I was sitting there in St. Louis as Otega hit that shot, Mark Pope gives the very briefest of celebratory motions by just throwing his arms up and then just pats Ortega on the back and says, all right, let's go. How does a coach maintain that sort of composure? Because, if you look nervous to your players, that might affect the game, right? And if you get too overconfident, it might affect the game. So how do you maintain that balance?
I think a lot of it, and I mean, some of this stuff is probably things you've heard me say in our group chats or on, KSR in different ways. And it is kind of why I'm always the guy of like, hey, it's not as good as it seems. It's not as bad as it seems. All these different things.
Yeah. It annoys the hell out of me, but yes.
Right. Exactly. Too. But I mean, and it even annoys me sometimes as much as I say it. But like, as a coach, you kind of like, the hay's already in the barn, so to speak, a lot of times. Like we've prepared, we're going to guard ball screens a certain way. We're going to try to execute offensively a certain way. And like, whether the ball goes in the basket or it doesn't necessarily change how we played. Now, obviously for fans, the only thing that you care about is the scoreboard, because you're not necessarily involved or have the expertise to know what the game plan was. Are they executing? Are they not? That you weren't in practice all week. You weren't in the film room. You don't know what went in to preparing for the game. As a coach, like if you know your team is prepared, you're playing hard, you're executing what you want to execute. Like the fact that Otega Owe made that shot and then Kentucky won in overtime, like obviously that made a lot of us feel a heck of a lot better for 48 hours. But it didn't make Kentucky have played any better. Like Otega Owe hit what amounts to a lucky shot. So like in that moment, when you're the coach, it's like, okay, like, yeah, obviously I'm excited. We want to win the game, but like nothing basketball wise really changed there. And I think
Otega Owe, which was like 2 of 4 from half court. That's his shot, man. That's his shot, baby. He's 50% from there. I'm pulled, Otega.
Right. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
And then like a lot of times like defensively, and you'll hear me and you're like, you'll get mad because we don't close out on some guy, and I'm like, hey, Steven, he's 1 for 13 from 3 on the year. Like that's why we didn't close out. And so yeah, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I'm frustrated he made the shot, but like, percentage wise, it's probably a shot we want to let him, we want him to take, things like that. So like those are the things you're thinking about as a coach, that kind of keep you calm and even keeled throughout the process.
Brandon, always enjoy talking with you, especially, and as the screen goes black, that's all right. Brandon, enjoy talking to you. Always enjoy talking to you, and especially getting some insight into the mind of a coach. We will be back tomorrow for, I think, Jacob Polachek will join us. On Wednesday, we'll be back in the studio. And then Thursday, we'll have to see what we're going to do about trivia, because I got to be in Lexington to talk to some players for the first time this summer. But we'll have something figured out. We got a lot to talk about this week, especially after we do that. So for everybody, for Spencer Smith, Brandon Ramsey, Adam Stratton, Nick Roush, I'm Stephen Peake. Oh, Trevor Kelsey, of course. Also, this has been Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, everybody. Appreciate everybody who was on the stream today. We will do this again next Tuesday. I'll be back in my home studio, not here at my parents' house. But in the meantime, we're going to try to do some videos with these old games and do some film breakdowns from them. So we will see you guys. And again, if you want to join the show tomorrow, you want to get your comments and everything, as you see over here on the YouTube channel, Game Day Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. You can text into the show tomorrow. We will be live on the radio tomorrow at 12 p.m. and throughout the week. So Monday through Friday, 12 to 2, if you want to check out Kentucky Roll Call. Appreciate you guys. We will see you tomorrow.